Hello everyone, I'm Frank and welcome to Frank Puzzles, and this is today's challenging level puzzle, and it's called Phantom Locker by Sumantu Anu, and here are the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply, which means fill every row, column, and box with the digits 1 through 9 without repeats. And also, digits do not repeat on the marked cage. So you cannot have repeats in this cage. So this is not allowed. So if you had a 3 here and a 3 here, that's not allowed because in the cage you cannot have repeats. Along the green lines, neighboring digits differ at least by 5 or more. So this is called the German whisper line. So for example, if this was, say, a 7, this would have to be a 1 or 2, because the only digits that are 5 or more away from 7 are specifically 1 and 2. And that's why those have to be 1 or 2 there. And that's how German whisper lines work. In the thermometer shapes, digits must strictly increase from the bulbs to the tip. So basically, these are thermometer shapes, and in these, it has to be consistently increasing from the bulb to the tip. So as an example, you could have something, actually, let's use this. You have something like 1, 4, 6, and 7. So as long as the digits are consistently increasing, this is a valid thermometer. What would not be a valid thermometer is if, for example, this was an 8, because this is 1, 4, 8, but then it decreases from the 8 to the 7. That is not allowed. And that's how thermometers work. And finally, we have the gray lines are palindromes. Digits read same forward or backwards. So basically, it reads the same one way as it does the other way. And I won't get too much into detail with that because that sort of starts solving things. Anyways, so remember, in palindrome lines, it reads the same forward or one way, in one direction. So it would read the same this way as it does this way. That leads to certain aha things that you can think about. Those are all the rules. If you'd like to play along, there's going to be a link in the description. And now, I'm going to get started. Let's go. Okay. How do we want to target this first? Let's start with the thermos because that's what the easiest one to. So on thermos, I usually like going from the bulb to the tip, starting with the lowest possible digit possible on the thermos, and then going from the tip back to the bulb, looking at the largest digits possible, right? So this would be at least 1, at least 2, at least 3, at least 4. This is at most 9, at most 8, at most 7, at most 6. And the reason why you know that is this has to always be greater than 1 digit here. This has to be greater than both of these digits, which is 2. And this has to be greater than all 3 of those digits, which means that it has to be at least 4. So the digits here can be 4 through 9, 3 through 8, and 2 through 7, and 1 through 6. So let's do that for all the thermometers. This could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 5, and this could be up to 9. This could be 4 through 8, 3 through 7, 2 through 6, and 1 through 5. This is the same. This thermometer is exactly the same as this one because there's no there's nothing that, how do you say it, is constricting those. So this is 4 through 9, 1 through 6, 2 through 7, and 3 through 8. We also know that on the palindrome line, these 3 digits must be exactly the same as these 3 digits, only backwards. So let's start by coloring these. These are blue, these are yellow, and these have to be the same and are red. Well, where are they in row 4? You cannot have blue, yellow, or red in any of these cells because they are seen by blue, yellow, or red already in each box. Therefore, these also must be blue, yellow, and red, but we don't know which ones. Okay, Um, what else do we know about this? We know these two are the same and these two are the same. So let's mark that with green and pink. So both green and pink have to be here, but we don't know which one's which. Okay. What else do we know? These are... So one of these is blue, yellow, or red. None of these could be, though. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 digits. So these digits, where can these digits be in row 5? They can only be, sorry, in box 6. These 3 digits, all the grays, cannot be in these cells. They have to be in these cells. So all of these are gray digits, which means all of these are gray digits. We also know the gray digits cannot be in the cage. Therefore, all three of the gray digits in box 1 have to be in these 6 cells. But we don't know which. Okay. What does that mean? I'm not really sure. Hmm. Oh, this is interesting. On this German whisper line, these 2 digits have to be, one has to be low and one has to be high. We're not sure which one's which. Either this is a 4 and then the rest are high, which is possible because it could be next to a 4 and a 9. Or So either this is 4 and these are both high or 5, or we have both highs here and this is a low, or we have a 5 here and one of these is high and this is a low. But that doesn't really tell us very much, unfortunately. But basically, we do have to have a low amongst these 3 digits no matter what. That's really what it's telling us. At least one of the red, yellow, blues have to be in these 3 cells, but we're not sure which. Hmm. We also know, okay, one thing is 5 cannot be on a German whisper line. So none of these are 5. So in box 7, where is the 5? It has to be one of these cells, which means these cannot be a 5. We have to have equal numbers of highs and lows here, right? Which means there has to be a high and a low in these digits too. So this has a high and a low. That doesn't really tell us anything though. Um, hmm. So 5 cannot be here. 5 has to be one of these 4 digits. Obviously one of these 6. Hmm. Okay. Let's figure out what these could be. So all of these digits are between 2 unique digits on a German whisper line. So they cannot be 4 or 6. They have to be 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, or 9. Right? Because this sees both of these. This sees both of these. This sees both of these, and this sees both of these. But these could be 4 or 6, so that's fine-ish. What does that mean, though? I'm not really sure. We have a low and a high here with the 5. Oh, so these can't be 5 either, right? This cannot be 5 because of the 5 already in the column. These can't be 5 because they're on a German whisper line. Therefore, none of these can be 5. So these can't be 5 either. Oh, interesting. So this cannot be 5 either. So 5 would be one of these 6 digits. 5 would be one of these 4. Or actually not. It would be one of these 2 or one of these 3. Um, hmm. um, hmm. Hmm. Um, if this is 4, this would have to be 1, 2, and 3. Which means none of these could be 1, 2, or 3. So the low here would have to be a 4. Therefore, this couldn't be a 4. One of these would have to be a 4, and therefore it'd have to be with 9. That seems fine. Hmm. If this is 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, we would have... Well, these would both be high, so this would have to be a low. So it's 1 through 3 here. You'd have 8, 9 in one of these spots. The other would be 8 or 9 here. So you'd have a low here. So this would be high, and these would be high. Therefore, the other high would have to be here. Therefore, these would have to be low. Or does that tell us anything, really? Not particularly. Hmm. 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 This cannot be 4, because if it's 4, that would make these 3, 2, and 1, and that would eliminate all possibilities for this cell. Okay. Oh, we do... Oh. Oh. We do know 9 has to be one of these 3 cells here. Actually, 8 has to also be one of these cells here. That's interesting. We know all the light, medium, and darks have to be in one of these 6 cells. Hmm. So this must contain an 8 or 9. But these two could be specifically 8 and 9. So we don't have a guarantee. Hmm. Oh, interesting. Does that tell us anything? Not particularly. We do know these 3 digits are from the same set, but we don't know which set it is, right? Because on a German whisper line, you'll always alternate between low digits, which is 1 through 4, and high digits, which is 6 through 9. Because if you take 1, which is the lowest of the low digits, you add 5 or more to it, you have to have a digit that's next to it of 6 or higher. So therefore, 1 through 4 always has to be next through a digit that's 6 or higher. Well, if you take a digit from 6 through 9, say you take the highest one, which is a 9, and you subtract 5 from that, or more, you'll have to get a 4 or below next to it. So therefore, next to a 6 through 9, you'll always have 1 through 4. So these 3 are the same set, which means in the rest of the column, you can't have you have to have 1 of the same set and 4 of the other differing sets. That doesn't really tell us very much, though. Hmm. These could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9, so that's pretty broad. Same here. Hmm. Um, say this was not 4 and 6. That would mean 4 and 6 would have to be here. Therefore, this would be 3 or 7, 2 or 3, and 1 or 2 here. But these could be... Well, there has to be a difference of at least 5 here. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so... Say this was a high. If this is high, this forces this to be 4, 3, 2, 1, which means the 4 has to be here, the 4 has to be here, it has to be next to a 9, and therefore the 9 would also have to be here. Ah, that doesn't work. Okay, so say we did have, okay, so say this was a high digit. If this was a high digit, this has to specifically be a low because you need to have one low amongst these 2 cells. And these 2 cells are already high, so this must be the low, which makes this a 4. Since this is a 4, it has to be next to a 9 on a German whisper line. So the 9 would have to be here and here. But that would mean that this could never be 9 because we have a 9 in one of these 2 cells. These 3 could never be 9 because the 4 has to be next to a 9 in one of these 2 cells. And these can't be 9 because this is 4. This would have to be 4, and this would have to be 1, 2, 3. Therefore, this can never be a high digit. Can it ever be a 4 is the question even, actually. Hmm. If you have a 4, you have to have a 9. Well, you could have this being 4 and this being a low digit. And the 4... No, because then this would be 1, 2, 3. Right, so if this is ever 4, this becomes 1, 2, 3. Well, if you ever have a 4 here is really the question. Then if this is 4, one of these is 4. This doesn't have to be 1, 2, and 3, though. But if you do have a 4 here, then 9 has to be with it, which means 9 has to be here, too. Which means 9 cannot be any of these cells, which is not allowed, because none of these can be 9. Therefore, this can never be 4 here. So it could be 1, 2, or 3. Can 6 be there? I think 6 can be there, though. Because you'd have a 1 here, right? That's possible. Right, if this is 6, then the 1 has to be here and 1 has to be here, which means this is 1, which is fine. So this could be 6 through 9. This cannot be a high digit, though. If this was a high digit, and this cannot be a 4 either. If this was 4, that means these are both high, which forces 4 to be one of these digits. Oh, actually, this doesn't have to be 1, 2, and 3, if that's the case. So this could be 4. But this has to be a low. We know that for certain. That's interesting. So, again, 4 cannot be... 9 can't be both here and here. Right? 9 has to be one of these cells and then one of these cells. Oh. 9 has to be one of these cells or these cells, right? 8 also has to be one of these cells or these cells. Um... Interesting. Okay. We know these two are opposite sets, these two are opposite sets, and these two are opposite sets. That doesn't really help us much. We already knew those were opposite sets. Um... The thing is, though, you could have a 3 here, right? So that is valid. Wait, no, this cannot be 4. If this is 4, that means both of these are high, and therefore the low would have to be a 4 here. So therefore that's not allowed. This is specifically 1, 2, or 3. Oh, interesting. Okay. So, right, yeah, we know... Okay, so... If we try to make this 4, that would make these both high. And we need a low here, which would force this to be 4, which would mean 9 would have to be here, which would mean 9 would have to be one of these two. Which means 9 could not be in column 3. Because none of these could be 9, none of these could be 9. So this is 1, 2, or 3. Well, it's in the same cage as the whole thermometer. So this can never be 3, because if it were 3, that means these would have to be 1 and 2, and that would eliminate all possibilities for that cell. So this cannot be 3, which means this can't be 4, which means this can't be 6. So this is the dark. It has to be one of these cells. It cannot be this one. This has to be a high. So this is 6, 7, 8, or 9. Therefore, this cell cannot be any of these cells on the cage, and it can't be this one because it's the only low digit here, and therefore has to be here. Well, where is it then in column 3? It has to be one of these cells because it can't be here because it's one of these cells, and it can't be here because it's in the same cage. So therefore, it must be one of these cells, which means the low in this set has to not be here. So therefore, what is this? This has to have a 4 as a low, which means the 9 has to be next to it. So this cannot be 9. So the 9 is one of these two cells because it has to be next to the 4, which has to be one of these two cells. Well, this can't be 4 then. This can't be 9. Therefore, since this can't be 9, this can't be 8, this can't be 7, and this can't be 6. We also know this can't be 9, which means in column 3, where's a 9? It has to be one of these 3 cells. We're not sure which. So this can't be 9. Because the 9 is one of these two cells, if this were 3, it would mean that it would have to be next to an 8 here, and then an 8 here, because 9 has to be here. So therefore, this would be 8, and this would be 8. But that would eliminate 8 from the possibility of being in column 3, because 8 could no longer be here, because it has to be one of those two, and 8 could no longer be here, because it has to be one of those two. And it can't be here because of the thermometer, so therefore, this can never be 3 then. So this has to be, at most, it has to be 1 or 2. So this is 1 or 2. Well, this 1 or 2 means this can't be 2 because that forces this to be 1, right? So if this is 1, this is 2, that would eliminate all possibilities for this cell. So this can't be 2. Which means 3 also has to be one of these cells. Well, if 3 could be next to the 9 here, that's fine. Or 3 could be here. 3 cannot be here. This is 4 specifically with 6, 7, or 8. Because we know these are opposite sets, right? Because they'll go one set, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So this is the opposite set. That's why we know those, they cannot, one of these is 4, the other one has to be a high digit. We know this is a 9, actually. So this has to be a 9 with a low digit here. 1, 2, or 3. If a 3 were here, one of these two cells, the problem is it would have to have an 8 and a 9 next to it. But it can't because neither of these could be, 9 cannot be in any of those spots anymore. So these can't be 3. Well, where is the 3 in... we know one of 1 or 2's here. This is also one of 1 or 2, therefore this cannot be 1 or 2, so it must be 3 here. The 3 is always next to an 8, so one of these two has to be an 8, which means this cannot be 8, which means where is the 8 in column 3? It must be one of these cells. So this is 8. Oops. This is 8 with 1, 2, and 5 as a possibility. Therefore, these cannot be 8. This must be 3 and 7. 8 has to be the high digit here, so this cannot be 6 or 7. It has to be 1 or 2 with it. So one of these is an 8. We're not sure which. So here we have 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And we know 8 is here, we know 8 is here. This becomes a 3, 7 pair. So this can't be 8. This can't be 7 because of the 3, 7 pair. One of these is 8, so this can't be 8. This can't be 7, so this can't be 7 here. Which means this has to be 4 and 6 here. Since this is 4 and 6, 4 and 6 can only be next to 9 and 1 respectively. Therefore, this cannot be 2. This is 1 and 9, which means these can't be 1 because of the 1, 9 pair. This can't be 1 anymore, which means this can't be 2, this can't be 3, this can't be 4, and this can't be 5 because of what was previously there. These also can't be 6. So since this can't be 6 here, this can't be 5. Let's just go, let's redo this so that we have it clear. This can no longer be 1, so this can't be 2, this can't be 3, this can't be 4. This can't be 9, which means this can't be 8, 7, or 6 here. 4 and 6 are removed from here. So this has to be less than this, which means it's 2, 3, or 4. This has to be greater here, so this can't be 5. And this looks kosher. Okay. So of these digits, one of them is 4, one of them is 6, and then the other one could be 2, 5, or 8, or the other one could be 4 and 6. Okay. Well, we know this dark digit cannot be any of these digits, so it must be here. So therefore, this must be a 2. So this is 2, which means these can't be 1. These can't be 1. It's a 2-8 pair. We have 4 and 6. This is 2, 5, 8. So this is specifically... Okay, this can't be 2 here, which means this cannot be 3 because it has to be greater than 3 or 4. And 3 is not greater than 3 or 4. Therefore, this is 5. This is 7. This has to be 8 then. So we have 5, 7, 8. This can no longer be 5. If the pink or green were 8, that would not work. No 2, so this cannot be 2. These digits have to be 2, 4, 6, and 8, and cannot be 2 or 8. Or sorry, cannot be 8. So this could be 2, which means this is 4 or 6. Therefore, this is 4 or 6. But it could both be 6, right? This is 8, so this cannot be 8, which means 8 has to be one of these two cells here, because we know 8 is one of these two cells, and 8 has to be one of these gray cells. Okay, this can't be 7. Where is the 3 in box 9? Cannot be any of these cells, can't be any of these cells, because these specifically have to be here. So it must be here. So this is 3. That's 3 in the corner. We celebrate because we're getting close to solving this. One of these is 3. One of these is 7. We don't know which. This can't be 8. What are these? Both of these are 1 and 9. So this is specifically 1, 2, 8, or 9 here. This is 1, 9. It could be 2, 4, or 6 here. We don't know which. Okay. These cannot be 2, 5, or 8. So they specifically have to be 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 9. We know 2 is one of these. We know 2, 5, and 8 are all here. What else do we know? Ah, interesting. So we have a low and a high here. Interesting. So if these are low, it would have to be 2 here. This would be next to 2 unique digits, so this could not be 4, so this would be 1, and this would be 4, which would force this to be 9, and this would have to be 8, because it would be between a 1 and a 2. Ah, but that's not possible then. So again, we tried this as a low. If this is low, this has to be a 2 specifically. This is between 2 unique digits on a German whisper line, so it cannot be 4, and it can't be 2 or 3, so it must be 1, which forces this to be the 4 if that's low. The 4 will have to be next to a 9, so this is a 9, the 2 can only be next to 7, 8, or 9, and 9 and 7 are taken, so this must be 8. But the problem is one of these has to be 8, which means this is broken as if this is low. So this cannot be low. Therefore, these are all highs. Well, this is next to 2 unique digits on a German whisper line, so this has to be specifically 7 or 9. This could be 6, 7, or 9. We know both of these are low. This cannot be high anymore, so cannot be 6 or 9. The rest have to be 1 through 5 without a 3. So it's 1, 2, 4, 5, but it can't be 2 here. So this is a 2-8 pair here. This is a 2 and 8, so this can't be the dark. It has to be the same as this cell. So we can remove this coloring because we know that information already. And we'll just mark this as orange. It's the same one as this one. These have to be low. It cannot be 2. It could be 1, 4, or 5, and this could be 1, 2, 4, 5. Well, this digit has to be low. It's next to either 6, 7, which would make that 1, 6, 9, which would make that 1, or 7, 9, which would make that possibly 2. This is similarly next to 6, 7, 7, 9, or 6, 7. So this has to be a 1, 2 pair, right? Because it can't be next to 8. So they're next to, both of these are next to 2 unique digits, and one of them at least has to be a 7. Which makes this 1 or 2, which means we have a 1, 2, 1, 2 pair in column 8, which eliminates 1 and 2 from the rest of the column. Therefore, this can't be 2, which means this can't be 2, so this is a 4, 6 pair, which means this is specifically not in this set. So this is 4 and 6. We have a 4, 6 pair, which eliminates 4 and 6 in the rest of the row. So this can't be 4, which makes this a 3. 3 can no longer be here. This has to be 2, 5, and 7 remaining. These can't be 4, 6 anymore. Well, we have a 1, 2, 1, 2 pair in column 8, which eliminates 1, 2 for the rest of the column. This can't be 1 or 2. This has to be 9. This can't be 2, so this is 8, which makes that a 2. This can't be 2 or 9, so this is 1, which makes that a 2. So this can't be 2 anymore. This can't be 2. This has to be 5 or 8 here. Okay, this can't be 2 anymore because of this 2, so this must be a 1, which makes that a 2. This one, 6 cannot be next to a 2, so this has to be 7 or 9. We have a 7, 9, 7, 9 pair in column 9, which eliminates 7 and 9 from the rest of the column, so this must be a 6. These can't be 1s because of the 1 in the box, so where's the 1 in column 9? It can only be here. So this is 1. This is 2. And now we know the orange is a 6. So this has to be 6, which means one of these has to be a 6. Well, this can't be 6 anymore, so this must be a 6. This has to be less than this, so it's only, of the digits remaining, it has to be 4. This has to be less than this, which makes that a 3, which makes that 1. This has to be an 8. So this cannot be 1, 3, or 4, or 6, because the 6 is in the same cage. Therefore, we have a 7, 9 pair here. So we can remove 3, 4, and 1 from the rest of the cage. This can't be 2. So again, as minimum, this is 2. At minimum, this is 5. This must be minimum 6. This must be minimum 7. And that's a possibility. Okay. So this is 4, 5. This is 4, 5. Which means one of these is 4, 5. Remaining digits in column 8 have to be 3, 4, 5, and 6. Well, this cannot be 3, 4, 5. It cannot be 4, 5, or 6 because of the 4, 5 pair in the box and the 6 in the box. Therefore, this must be 3. This has to be 4, 5, or 6, and this has to be 4, 5, or 6. This can't be 4 because of the 4 in the row. This is a 3, which means this has to be 3. Which means one of these two is a 3. What else do we have? These must be 7 and 9. So this is 7 and 9. Oops. This is 7 and 9, which makes that 7 and 9. This is 7 or 9. And this must be 1, 4, 5, 7, 9. We're not sure which. This is 7 or 9. Therefore, this must be the red. These can't be red. And these have to be 3 and 4, 5. Right? These have to be 1 and 4, 5. Okay. So this one must be the same as this. But we don't know which one of those is possible. Okay. If this is low and this is high, this would have to specifically be 4, which would make that a 9. If this is not high, it has to, sorry, if this is not low, it has to be high, which makes this a low, and it cannot be 2 or 3 or 4, so this would have to be 1, but then it could be with any of the highs. So 6 through 9 works. 8 doesn't work, obviously. Where's 3 in column 4? It has to be one of these two cells because of the 3 already here, and the 3 is already here. Remaining digits here have to be 3, 4, 6, and 8. Well, this can't be 3. This can't be 4. This has 2 high digits here. And we know 2 out of these 4 have to be high digits because it alternates between sets of low and high. Therefore, the rest of the column cannot contain a high digit. So it has to be, cannot be 1, 3, or 4. It has to be 2 or 5 here. Well, what does that mean? Well, say this is 4. If this is 4, this is 9, which means the 3 has to be next to it, which means this would be 8. So this is either 6, 7, if that's the case. Or, if this is not 6, this is 1. This has to be 7 next to it because 3 is not. So this is 8 and 9, if that's the case. So this is specifically 6, 7, or 8, 9. We're not sure which, though. We know this can't be a 5, because if this were 5, it would force this to be 2, and that would mean this is not possible. This doesn't have any cells or digits possible in that cell, which is not allowed. So this is not 5, which means this has to be greater than this cell. Well, 6 is not greater than 6 or 7, therefore this must be 8, which makes that a 9. This can't be 8 anymore, so that's a 2, which makes this 8. This 2 can only be next to a 7 out of 3 or 7. The 7 can only be next to 1 out of 1 or 9, and this can only be next to 6 out of 4 or 6. So this must be 4, this is 9, this is 3. This can't be 2 anymore, so this must be a 5. Well, this can't be 5, and this has to be less than a 6 or 7. Well, we don't know which one this is actually. It still could be, so this is 2, 6, 7 triplet here. This can't be 3 or 4, so this must be 5. Which means this can't be 5, and it can't be... Well, where is a 3 now possible in the row? It has to be here. So this is a 3, which means this is the yellow. This has to be the blue, which means the blue has to be a 5, which means that a 5. This has to be a 4, which means neither of these can be 5. This can't be 1, so this must be 4, which makes this a 1. These two are the same. This can no longer be 5. This can't be 5, so this must be 8, which makes this a 5, which makes this 2. That makes this 8. So neither of these can be 2. This can't be a 5 either, so this must be 7. This can't be 2 or 7, so this must be 5. None of these can be 8. This can't be 2 here. Where can 8 be in column 6? Again, it cannot be here because this, if this is a low, it's a 4, and that would have to be next to 9. Can't be here, so it must be here. So this is an 8, which means these can't be 8. Where is an 8 in column 7? It has to be here. So this is an 8. We need a 5 in row 2. Where, okay, this can't be 5, so this is 6, which makes that 4. This can't be 4 or 6, so that makes that 3. This can't be 4 or 6, so this must be 5. Whereas the 5 in column... Okay, well, this can't be 6 anymore because of this 6. That makes this 2. This can't be 2. Again, where... Okay, so these can't be 5 anymore. Where is the 5 in column 2? We keep going back to that. And we know one of these has to be a 5. And this one can't be a 5 because of this 5, so this must be a 5 here. We also know this can't be 4 anymore, so this has to be a high digit, and 6, 7, or 9 has to be next to a low digit, and it cannot be 2, 3, or 4, so this is a 1. This can no longer be 3, so where's the 3 in box 2? It has to be here. This can't be 1, this can't be 1 anymore, so that makes this a 9. That 9 forces this not to be a 9, so this is 7, these are both 7, this has to be a 9 then. Which makes that 7, which makes that 9. These can't be 7 anymore. It can't be 1 or 9, so it has to be a 4. So this is a 4, which forces this to be a 6, which makes that a 6. And these are both 4s. These can't be 9, and these can't be 4s. This has to be 6, 7, or 9. But it can't be 7. Because of this 7, and it can't be 6 because of that 6, so it's a 9. So this is 9, which forces this to be 1, which makes that a 2. That makes that a 1, which makes that a 9. This can no longer be 9 here. This is either 7 or 9, but it cannot be the 9, so it must be 7, which makes this a 9, which makes that a 7. Which makes this 6, which makes that 7, which makes that 6. We have 2 and 4 remaining, so that's 2, and that's 4. Pretty cool puzzle, actually. Very interesting interactions between this cage, the thermometers, and this German whisper line. Yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this solve, and I'll see you next time on Frank Puzzles. Take care.